Welcome to month 7 of Morning Light in Tuckertown. We'll be making 3 star blocks this month, and I really must say I think these are my absolute favorite of all these blocks. And we'll be using our V-block tool and a technique called the high-low technique. And behind me are the blocks I've made using the Astra collection and a few others that I've thrown in there just to spice it up a little bit. So I've got my cutting all done, and I have a few tips for you on how to use the V-block tool when you're cutting your side triangles and when you're trimming up. So with all that said, let's get going, and please remember to post your pictures to our Facebook group. Thank you so much, everybody. Happy stitching. This month, we're going to be doing something new with our V-block tool. We're going to be making sidekick high-lows. And there are a couple real important things you need to be looking for when you do this. So we'll be using our V-block tool, and we'll be using it to do the subcuts on the 5 by 10 inch rectangles and also on the 5 by 5 base squares. So I just want to go over a couple things about that with you. Okay, so here's our V-block tool. And there are horizontal lines, and we're going to be looking right now for the 4-inch finished unit cut from 5-inch strips, that horizontal line, and then we're going to be looking at this dark solid line right here that says cut line for side triangles. And that is when we're cutting. Let me just show you this. When we're cutting our side triangles from our 5 by 10 inch strip. So what we're going to do is take your 5 by 10 inch strip, make sure this is a nice straight edge so you have a nice right angle right here. And then we're going to be taking our tool, and on that horizontal line that says 4-inch unit cut from a 5-inch strip, go ahead and line that horizontal line right up to the bottom edge of your strip, and this solid line right across the edge right there. So I'm going to grab my rotary cutter, and very important, your fabric must be face up. So we're going to just give that a little cut, move that aside, and there we have one of our triangles. So I'm going to just set that aside right there. Then the next thing you do is we're going to cut another one that'll be exactly the same as the first one we cut, but we need to rotate our tool. Don't flip it over, just rotate it. And there's a little label here that says side triangle trim number 2. And we're going to take this edge and put it right up to the bottom edge of our strip, and that trim line right along the diagonally that we just cut, and then cut up the side. And what you have is 2 identical triangles. One was cut here, we rotated the tool, so the other one ended up exactly the same. And that's what we need for cutting the side triangles. Now, for cutting the base unit, you're going to have a 5-inch by 5-inch square, and we're going to use the tool this time a little bit differently. We're still going to be lining up that 4-inch finished unit from a 5-inch strip, but we're going to be using a 5-inch square. And this time we're going to put the horizontal line right against the bottom of the square, and this time we're going to be lining it up to this dotted line. And what that does is it just backs it off a little bit and allows for the 1/4-inch seam allowance that we're going to be putting in there. So what I'm going to do, just carefully line that right up so it's along the bottom and up the dotted line, and give that a cut. Now this again must be face up. Don't do them face to face. You can do more than one layer deep. I don't like to do that because I'm afraid things get wiggled around, but this is what you're going to end up making, and then just follow the instructions. But the subcutting, real important, face up both times you use it, follow the markings on the tool, you should be good to go. Now let's get on to the next step. Okay, we've got our sidekick unit all done. We sewed our side triangle onto our base square and added our little short triangle on the side. And now we're going to look at um, the V-block tool again. So let's just take a peek at that. When we cut our, let me turn it around this way. When we cut our side triangles, we use this portion of the tool. Now to do our final trim down, we're going to use this portion of the tool. And just like all Studio 180 tools, the markings on the inside here have the number that corresponds to the finished size of the block. And the outside measurements here correspond to the cut sizes of the blocks. So let's just see what that means in our situation today. So here is our finished unit, all nice and pressed, and we're going to be locating the number 4 on our tool, and we're going to put the 4 right on the valley where those seams all meet, and the long diagonal line, I'll move this aside so you can see it. So this long diagonal line is going to match right up to the seam, just like that, and just adjust it around until everything's just right. There we go. And you can see that there's plenty to trim off on all 4 sides. And because I'm right-handed, I'm going to position it this way and go up the right side and across the top, just like that. And move that all out of the way. Okay, and then I'm going to rotate the block around and realign. Here we go. And this time, we're going to line up the 4.5 inch markings to the sides that we trimmed, and the number 2x, because 2 is half of 4, the 2 is going to go right up in the valley up there, and we're going to just go up the side and across the top. And that is it. Oh, let's get rid of that little dingleberry. That's it. You have the perfect little sidekick high-low. And the reason one of the reasons I love these little units is because it makes our star blocks look really sparkly. So have some fun with that, and we'll get back to the next step.